I believe the Cincinnati Zoo is guilty. Here's why. I wrote a book about finding the heart of your dog and how to teach your family dog. In its own way, your dog is willing and eager to communicate with you in order to fit into your family circle. Similarly, gorillas, as fellow primates, are willing and eager to communicate with humans too. Witness Coco, who learned over 300 words using sign language. Coco willingly and eagerly communicated deep and complex human-like emotions. Coco was even given a companion kitten. Coco was a gentle, protective, and caring companion for years, and even cried when the kitten died. The kitten never needed to be rescued from Coco's embrace. Compare this to the millions of animals abused by humans each year. Witness Diane Fossey spending years with gorillas in Africa in their natural habitat. Gorillas aren't instinctively aggressive toward humans. If they have any such instincts, it's curiosity towards these strange new primates. So why do zoos all over the world keep their gorillas in cages, or at best, in the case of the Cincinnati Zoo, under house arrest? They like to call these exhibits habitats. Don't be fooled. These are not gorilla habitats. You will only find gorilla habitats in Africa. Here are some more questions for the Cincinnati Zoo. During his 17 years in captivity, how much time was invested in communicating with Harambe? If, let's say, Harambe was able to understand some basic sign language like Coco, would he be alive today? What is the humane responsibility of the Cincinnati Zoo to develop the communication skills of the primates it forces into captivity? There was no plan to release Harambe to the wild. He was a valuable breeding machine. He was doomed to house arrest for the rest of his life. The Cincinnati Zoo and all zoos with gorillas in captivity have two big economic priorities. First, to display gorillas to the paying public for entertainment value, and second, to breed the gorillas in captivity to perpetuate the zoo economy. Even though buying and selling of endangered species is against the law, there are still strong incentives in the zoo economy to barter away the lives of animals. In all of this activity, is the conservation of the species really a priority? What if the same effort was directed toward protecting and expanding the real gorilla habitat in Africa? Wouldn't more gorillas be born? Wouldn't there be more gorilla families? Wouldn't those gorillas born in their real habitat have happier and more satisfying lives than the ones born under house arrest? Is the real gorilla habitat in Cincinnati, or is it in Africa? In the case of Harambe, the question is, was he caring for the child or endangering the child? We'll never know what was in his mind, but just perhaps he interpreted the kid's fall as a sort of rejection by the human gawkers. Consider that he may have interpreted the screaming adults as threats to the kid. Perhaps his reaction was to keep the kid away from the hysterical adults for its own protection. We'll never know what was in his mind because Harambe never had a chance to develop his ability to communicate with humans. And even if he had, the zoo decided to shoot first and ask questions later. Perhaps the quick reaction of the Cincinnati Zoo management was more about protecting their liability and economic interests. They weighed the life of Harambe against being sued for their own negligence. If something serious happened to that kid, even by accident, a jury might have awarded the family millions. No gorilla would be worth that. After all, the zoo can just breed another one. It's not about endangering gorillas, it's more about endangering the zoo economy. And so, after the fact, the Cincinnati Zoo faces a PR nightmare. There was no escape. They had to justify their rash actions. They had to say everything they could to exaggerate the danger. So what does Thane Maynard come up with to say right off the bat at the press conference?
We're talking about an animal with one hand that I've seen take a coconut and crunch it.
I've seen a gorilla crush a coconut in its bare hands. Come on, does he really believe that Harambe couldn't distinguish a fellow primate from a coconut? Does he really believe that? Or is what he really wants you to believe is that Harambe was King Kong on a wild rampage? Yes, the old King Kong myth. Is that what the Cincinnati Zoo considers to be part of its education mission? The Cincinnati Zoo might not be legally criminal, but its actions are unethical in the way it treats primates and unethical in the way it pretends to be protecting the species. But that doesn't let the rest of us off the hook. After all, we support the zoos with captive primates. We are part of the zoo economy. So we are equally guilty for Harambe's death, not to mention our ignorant willingness to believe in the King Kong myth. If Thane Maynard, the Cincinnati Zoo, and all of us had to face a court with a gorilla judge and a gorilla jury, would we escape conviction? I think not. And I believe we would be lucky if we were sentenced to the same house arrest that Harambe suffered. We no longer parade elephants in circuses. Instead, in the humane economy, we focus our resources on protecting elephants in the wild. We no longer capture wild orcas and confine them to tanks at SeaWorld. Primates like gorillas are closer to humans than elephants and orcas. So isn't it time to end gorilla captivity and focus instead on protecting gorillas in the wild?